All right, so are you ready for this? You sent over a ton of research on creative inspiration,
Mhm.
articles and notes, and even like a transcript of a magic lecture.
Oh, wow.
It got meta really fast.
It is quite the collection, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're talking about everything from Picasso to like those old spaghetti westerns and even magic.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating look at how creative people get their inspiration.
And that's what we're going to deep dive into today.
Right.
We're going to look at how to find unique inspiration and then actually use it.
Okay.
So, whether you're working on a presentation for work or a big project or even a magic act,
Yeah.
this is going to apply.
The big idea here is that talent borrows, genius steals.
Hmm.
If you're familiar with that. It's a Picasso quote.
Okay.
And Larry Wilson, the magician whose lecture transcript you sent over,
Right.
he opens up with that quote
Okay.
and he uses it to explain how to make original work.
So, we're not talking about straight up plagiarism, though, right?
No, no, no. This is not about plagiarism.
Ah.
This kind of stealing is about finding sparks of inspiration,
Uh-huh.
internalizing them, and then turning them into something new.
I see.
It's like you have like a tiny little house,
Okay.
and then you build like a giant skyscraper on top of it.
Oh, okay.
The core is there, but the final result is totally different.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Thanks.
So in the arts, like, are there some examples of this?
Well, there's tons of examples.
Okay.
Those classic spaghetti westerns?
Yeah.
Sergio Leone, the director,
Oh, yeah.
he stole the plot of a samurai film
Really?
to make a fistful of dollars.
Wow, I love those movies.
Yeah.
I never would have made that connection.
So the samurai film was Yojimbo by Akira Kurosawa.
Okay.
And get this, Kurosawa actually stole the plot himself from a novel,
What?
Red Harvest,
Wow.
by Dashiell Hammett.
So it went from a book to a samurai film to a westernite.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
3 totally different genres using the same core storyline.
So it's not just about like taking the idea, it's about what you do with it.
Exactly.
Like West Side Story is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet.
Right.
Same tragic love story, but totally different setting and context.
Exactly. You see this kind of thing all the time in creative fields.
Okay.
And it's not diminishing the original work at all.
Right.
If anything, it proves how strong the original idea is.
Yeah.
Because it can be reinterpreted in so many ways.
So, okay, we're stealing from the greats.
Uh-huh.
But where do we even find these sparks of inspiration?
Well, Larry actually suggests looking beyond the obvious.
Okay.
Don't just limit yourself to your own field.
Uh-huh.
Think about astronomy cartoons, fairy tales, quantum physics.
Whoa.
Literally anything
Okay.
can spark an idea.
So, like, I could be reading about black holes and suddenly figure out how to structure my next presentation.
That's the idea.
Hmm.
It might sound crazy,
Yeah, a little bit.
but when you step outside your normal thought patterns,
Right, yeah.
you start making these new connections. You're making these leaps of logic that you wouldn't have seen otherwise.
That's wild.
Yeah.
But I have to ask,
Yeah.
if everyone is out there stealing like this,
Uh-huh.
how do we make sure that our work is original?
That is the question, isn't it?
Yeah, how do we make it theft-proof?
It all comes down to embracing your individuality.
Okay,
The more you're in your work,
right.
the more original it will be
Mm-hmm.
because nobody else can replicate that.
So injecting my own personality and my experiences,
Yeah.
my point of view, that's what makes my work stand out.
Exactly. And there's this story Larry tells about a magician who went to him for feedback.
Okay,
On stage, this guy had this really polished persona,
right.
but off stage he was totally different.
Wow.
And Laurie's advice to him was, be that guy.
Mm.
Be your authentic self, even if it's scary.
Yeah, because the more you try to be someone you're not,
Right.
the less genuine it's going to feel, and it's
Yeah.
not going to connect with anyone.
And that's the danger. You focus too much on the stealing part
right.
and not enough on the making it your own part.
It's a balance.
It is definitely a balance.
So practically speaking, how do we actually do this?
Right.
How do we break through those creative blocks
Yeah.
and find those unique sparks of inspiration?
Larry's got some tools for that too.
Okay.
The first one is you have to abandon your comfort zone.
Oh, boy.
You got to take risks
Okay.
and try things that scare you creatively.
I'm already getting nervous.
Think of it like a high dive with no water in the pool.
Oh, my God.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He says no one has ever died from embarrassment.
Well, he's not wrong.
He gives some examples like a silent act trying stand-up comedy
Okay.
or a serious performer like adding slapstick to their routine.
Interesting.
It's about challenging yourself.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
What else? What other tools does he give?
Another tool, which is kind of counterintuitive,
Okay.
is to list everything that weren't work. I know it sounds weird.
Yeah, why would I focus on what won't work?
It's a really clever trick.
Okay.
You start focusing on all the bad ideas,
Mm-hmm.
and it forces your brain to come up with the good ones.
Oh,
It's like you're cleaning out all the junk
yeah.
to make space for the treasure.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I never would have thought of that.
It's also really important to document all these ideas as they come to you.
Okay.
Always have like a notepad or a voice recorder or something,
Right.
because you never know when inspiration's going to hit.
You know, this is actually how Larry came up with his award-winning show, Wonderland.
Oh,
Yeah, he was brainstorming with his wife,
Mm-hmm.
and they started listing all these ridiculous themes that would never work for a show. And somewhere in that process, they stumbled upon an idea that resonated with both of them.
Wow,
And it came from a list of bad ideas.
that's incredible.
It just goes to show that when you step outside your comfort zone
Right.
and embrace the unexpected, you can find something truly special.
You never know where inspiration is going to come from.
So we're pushing boundaries, we're listing bad ideas.
Yeah.
What else can we do to steal like an artist?
Another powerful tool is using metaphors.
Okay.
Larry describes them as like maps with words.
Uh-huh.
They can help you understand and communicate ideas in a new way.
Like how early cars were called horseless carriages.
Exactly.
Okay.
That metaphor helped people understand this new technology by connecting it to something familiar.
I get it.
And the same principle applies to any field.
Okay.
Metaphors help you grasp complex ideas
Right.
and communicate them in a way that sticks.
So it's like finding these unexpected connections
Yeah.
that make an idea click for your audience.
That's it.
I like that.
Yeah.
So what else?
And finally, Larry encourages us to embrace the fool.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to entertain those ridiculous ideas
Right.
without judgment.
Mm.
Because sometimes those foolish or impossible ideas
Uh,
turn out to be groundbreaking.
so we should give ourselves permission to be playful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just explore those what-if scenarios.
Do you remember that magician
Yeah.
who wanted to only perform for one person at a time,
Uh-huh.
unless that one person was a TV camera?
Yeah, it sounds absurd.
Yeah.
But it's actually pretty brilliant.
Yeah. When you think about it.
He's flipping the traditional magic act on its head.
Yeah, he is.
And that's what this whole approach is about.
Right.
Stealing like an artist.
Yeah.
Finding inspiration in unexpected places.
Yeah.
Twisting it, turning it, making it your own.
This is all great stuff.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like I'm just average.
Uh,
Like, how do I tap into that unique meatness
right.
when it feels like I have nothing special to offer?
I think that's a common feeling.
Yeah.
It comes from self-doubt.
Right.
But I think Larry would say that there's no such thing as average.
Okay.
Everyone has something unique to offer,
Right.
even if it's hidden beneath the surface.
Uh-huh.
It's about digging a little deeper
Yeah.
and looking at yourself with fresh eyes.
So maybe it's about asking for feedback from people we trust,
That's a good idea.
or trying new things to discover hidden talents
Yeah.
or interests.
You're on the right track.
Okay.
Sometimes we need help to see ourselves clearly.
Yeah.
And that's where Larry's advice about not letting your big brain talk you out of things comes in.
Oh,
Our brains, they like logic and reason,
right.
which is good for problem solving,
Mm-hmm.
but not always for creativity.
Okay.
So we need to acknowledge that logical voice,
Yeah.
but choose to follow our intuition
Hmm.
and our hearts, even if it feels risky.
Remember that magician who wanted to create a comedy routine?
Yeah.
That would get laughs even if he said the words in the wrong order,
Oh, yeah.
like he was trying to write a joke.
Right.
That would be funny no matter how you tell it.
That's not how it works.
Right.
Comedy requires precision and timing.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the nuances of language and delivery.
So it's a combination of preparation
Yeah.
and spontaneity.
Right.
Like you know your material so well
Right.
that you can deviate from it
Exactly.
and connect with the audience in the moment.
You got it.
Like jazz improvisation,
Yeah.
you know the melody,
Right.
but you're free to explore within that framework.
That's a great analogy.
But how do we keep it fresh?
Okay.
How do we avoid sounding over-rehearsed?
Larry's solution is to surprise yourself.
Okay.
Even if you've practiced something 1,000 times,
Right.
find a way to inject something new,
Okay.
something unexpected into it,
Uh-huh.
just to force yourself to be present.
I love that story about how he helped magician Christopher Hart
Oh, yeah.
refresh his act.
Huh.
He told him to imagine the cards as something different.
Right.
Like diamonds or fireballs or razor blades.
Yeah.
Anything to break him out of autopilot.
It's like tricking your own mind
Yeah.
into engaging with the material in a new way.
That's exactly right.
And this brings us to maybe the most important point of all. Our biggest obstacle is often ourselves. It's our fear of failure
Right.
and our self-doubt
Mm-hmm.
and our reluctance to step outside our comfort zones.
That inner voice that says,
Yeah.
you're not good enough. This has been done before. What will people think?
It's so easy to get stuck in that cycle.
Yeah, it is.
That's why Larry encourages us to embrace failure.
Oh, okay.
Don't be afraid to fall down, to make mistakes, to look foolish,
Right.
because it's in those moments of vulnerability
Yeah.
that we really learn and grow.
Okay.
Remember, nobody's ever died from embarrassment.
It's right.
But staying trapped in our comfort zones can be a kind of creative death.
So it's better to try and fail
Uh-huh.
than to never try at all.
Exactly. And that's why he admires people like Howard Hughes.
Okay.
You know, he constantly sought out new knowledge.
Yeah.
Even if it meant feeling like a beginner,
Uh-huh.
he would even take flying lessons in different cities,
Yeah.
pretending to have no experience,
Wow.
just so he could learn from the instructors.
That's incredible.
It's about approaching every experience with humility
Right.
and a thirst for knowledge.
This has been amazing.
Yeah,
Larry has given us so much to think about.
he really has.
But I'm eager to hear more about those practical tools for sparking creativity.
Okay.
He mentioned playing the fool and using metaphors.
Yeah.
What else does he have up his sleeve?
Well, let's let these ideas simmer for a bit.
Okay.
We'll delve into more of Larry's wisdom in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
All right?
So I've been thinking about this whole stealing like an artist thing,
Yeah.
and I'm ready for more.
All right.
We talked about getting out of our comfort zones,
Uh-huh.
listing all the things that won't work, and using metaphors.
Right.
What other tools does Larry suggest for breaking out of a creative rut?
One that really resonated with me is this idea of playing the fool.
Oh, okay.
It's about quieting that inner critic
Yeah.
and giving yourself permission to explore even the most ridiculous ideas.
I get that.
Yeah.
But isn't there a risk of
Going down a rabbit hole of nonsense.
Yeah.
How do we know which foolish ideas are worth pursuing?
It's a balancing act, for sure.
Okay.
Larry's not saying we should just abandon logic altogether.
Yeah.
But he is saying we need to create space for those unexpected sparks of inspiration.
Yeah.
Remember that example about performing magic for one person at a time,
Uh-huh.
unless that person is a TV camera?
Right. At first glance, it sounds totally ridiculous.
Yeah,
But then you realize there's a method to the madness.
exactly. It's about looking at things from a different angle,
Yeah.
challenging those preconceived notions
Right.
of what's possible.
So it ties into that idea of being willing to fail spectacularly
Yeah,
that Larry talks about.
exactly. Because often it's in those moments of failure
Right.
that we discover our greatest insights.
I'll be honest with you, that's a tough one for me.
Yeah.
I really like to avoid
Yeah, no,
failure
understandable.
at all costs.
Yeah.
But I can see how playing it safe
Right.
might actually be the biggest failure of all. It can be, because when we stay in our comfort zones,
Yeah.
we limit our growth and potential.
I see.
Larry uses this analogy of skiers
Okay.
who intentionally push themselves to the point of falling.
Mm-hmm.
It's by pushing their boundaries
Right.
that they actually improve.
So it's not about avoiding failure. It's about embracing it
Yeah,
as a necessary part of the creative process.
you got it. And that leads to another crucial element
Okay.
that Larry emphasizes throughout his lecture:
What's that?
the power of communication.
Okay.
He believes that strong communication skills
Mm-hmm.
can elevate even the simplest idea.
So it's not just about the what, it's about the how.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this isn't just for performers and artists.
Right.
Larry was actually hired by a professor at MIT
Right.
to teach communication skills to engineering students.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah, effective communication is a universal skill.
Yeah, no matter what field you're in.
Exactly. So
Sure.
what specific tips does Larry offer
Right.
for improving our communication?
Yeah.
Well, he stresses the importance of authenticity,
Okay.
being genuine, being present, connecting with your audience
Uh-huh.
on a human level, not trying to be somebody you're not.
That reminds me of that magician
Yeah.
whose stage persona felt really forced
Right.
and inauthentic.
Yeah, Larry told him to just be that guy.
Be himself.
Yeah, be the genuine person you are off stage.
And that comes back around to embracing your individuality.
It all connects.
Yeah.
The more you let your true self come through
Yeah.
in your communication,
Yeah.
the more unique and compelling it becomes.
So there's this synergy between creativity and communication.
There is.
They both require authenticity and risk-taking
Yeah.
and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone.
They're like two sides of the same coin. You know, creativity fuels our communication.
Yeah.
And effective communication brings our creative ideas to life.
This is really starting to connect the dots for me.
Good.
But I gotta be honest,
Good.
I'm still wrestling with this idea of stealing ideas.
I understand.
How do we navigate that ethically?
Right.
Isn't there a fine line between inspiration and plagiarism?
That's a valid concern, and it's important to remember that Larry isn't advocating for plagiarism.
Right.
It's about finding inspiration from a wide range of sources and then transforming those ideas into something uniquely your own.
So it's like taking a recipe and adding your own special ingredients to create a brand new dish.
That's a great analogy.
You're building on the foundation of something that exists, but you're making it your own.
Think of it as building upon the work of those who came before us. You know, we're all part of this creative continuum.
Yeah.
We're all drawing inspiration from each other.
Right.
And contributing our own unique perspectives.
Like a relay race.
I love that.
We get the baton from the person before us.
Yeah.
We run our leg of the race. And then we pass it on.
Exactly.
It highlights the collaborative nature of creativity.
It does. We're all interconnected.
Yeah.
Inspiring and influencing each other.
That really helps to reframe this idea of stealing as inspiration and collaboration.
It's not theft.
Yeah.
It's a shared creative journey.
Right. And that journey is enriched by our own individual contributions.
Precisely. It's the blend of our experiences and our perspectives and our voices that makes our creations truly original.
So it's not about erasing the influence of others.
No.
It's about acknowledging those influences and transforming them into something distinctly our own.
It's that alchemical process of taking inspiration, internalizing it, and then expressing it through your own unique lens.
That creates something new.
Exactly.
This is all starting to make sense to me now. It sounds like Larry has provided us with a roadmap for unlocking our creative potential.
He has.
But it requires us to be brave and vulnerable.
It does.
And open to the unknown.
Absolutely. It's a call to action. It's a challenge to step outside our comfort zones, to experiment, to fail, and ultimately to discover the unique creative voice that resides within each of us.
It's about recognizing that we're not just consumers of creativity. We're active participants in this vibrant and ever-evolving creative conversation.
You've beautifully captured the essence of this deep dive.
Wow.
It's about embracing that transformative power of creativity.
Yeah.
And using it to make our own mark on the world.
All this talk about making our mark on the world is inspiring.
Yeah.
But where do we even begin?
Right.
How do we translate these big ideas into concrete actions?
Well, that's a great question, and one that we can explore further as we continue our deep dive.
It's amazing how much of this whole creative process is about mindset.
Right.
It's not just about techniques or tools. It's about cultivating a way of thinking.
I think you're right. It's about shifting from a scarcity mindset to one of abundance. Instead of worrying about originality or feeling like we have nothing new to offer, we embrace this vast ocean of inspiration all around us.
So instead of thinking everything's already been done, it's more like realizing that there are endless ways to connect and recombine ideas.
Exactly. There's no need to compete for a limited number of ideas. That shift in perspective can be incredibly freeing.
Yeah.
You can approach creativity with playfulness and curiosity.
Right.
Even a little bit of mischief.
That reminds me of Larry's advice to play the fool.
Exactly.
You know, giving ourselves permission to explore those what-if scenarios.
Yeah.
Even if that seem ridiculous.
It's about trusting your intuition.
Okay.
And allowing ourselves to be surprised by where it leads.
Right. Creativity often defies logic and reason.
It really does.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's easier said than done.
Right.
How do we actually cultivate that playful, abundant mindset?
Well, Larry emphasizes the importance of stepping outside our comfort zones. Embracing the unknown.
Yeah.
He uses Howard Hughes as an example.
Oh, right.
You know, someone who's always seeking out new experiences and knowledge.
He'd even take flying lessons in different cities.
Yeah.
Pretending to be a beginner just to learn from different instructors.
That's dedication.
Talk about commitment to lifelong learning.
It's about approaching everything with humility.
Okay.
And a thirst for knowledge.
Yeah. There's always more to discover.
Always.
And those moments of discomfort, that's where the most growth happens.
Often. Yeah.
So we're pushing ourselves.
Yeah.
We're embracing the unknown.
Right.
But we don't have to do it alone.
No. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Larry talks about brainstorming with his wife.
Yeah.
And it highlights how powerful collaboration can be. It's so crucial to surround yourself with people who support and inspire you.
So finding those people who encourage you to be bold
Yeah.
and to take risks and believe in your vision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those trusted allies can help you hone your ideas. Yeah. And see them from different angles.
Okay.
And push you to be even better.
Like having a creative sparring partner.
That's a great way to put it.
Someone who can challenge you.
Yeah.
And help you refine your ideas.
And it brings us back to this idea of stealing like an artist.
Right.
We're not working in isolation.
Yeah.
We're part of a larger creative conversation.
Right.
We're building on the ideas of those who came before us.
And contributing our own unique perspective.
Exactly.
It's that blend of inspiration and individual expression that makes something truly original.
You got it. It's not just about taking.
Right.
It's about transforming those influences into something distinctly your own.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive.
I'm glad.
Larry has given us so much to think about
in
terms of unlocking our creative potential.
He really has.
But I think the biggest takeaway for me is it's not about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about being brave enough to experiment and to make mistakes.
To fail.
Show it.
Yeah.
And to keep learning and growing.
That's beautifully said. It's about embracing the journey with all its twists and turns and trusting that the creative process will lead us to unexpected and wonderful destinations.
So to wrap things up,
Okay.
what does all of this mean for you listening?
Yeah.
What unique traits or experiences or perspectives can you bring to your work? What unexpected sources of inspiration resonate with you?
Right.
What risks are you willing to take
Yeah.
to unlock your own creative potential?
Those are great questions.
Yeah.
And I hope you'll keep exploring them.
I hope so too.
You know, the world is full of inspiration.
It is.
Just waiting to be discovered and transformed and shared.
Yeah.
And who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe someday someone will be stealing like an artist from you.
That's a great point. That's a good goal to have.
I think so.